I think, well, it's always exciting to be back to the classroom, especially, I was a medical student once, especially after lunch session. So, anybody sleepy? Raise of hands? No? Come on, then say yes. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
All right, very well. Okay. So, hope you all had something to eat well. And I want to thank the entire Hridaya team for having me here. Thank you for inviting me. And thank you to Tena Medical College for having me here on board. So, I'm going to talk about a topic that probably would resonate with you, AI and beyond. And today we are going to cover medical entrepreneurship, basically beyond the stethoscope. So, as you can see, I'm a physician first, then an entrepreneur. So, we will start. Okay, all right. So, thank you for a very lovely introduction. So, I just want to add who am I, giving a brief intro. So, as you all know, doctors love to put degrees behind their names. So, here I am. I did MBBS from AFMC Pune. Very happy to be here back in Maharashtra. Love the weather, love the people, love the food, and also love the energy. Mumbai is by par similar to Pune, maybe better, but really love it here. And after that, I basically took a different path. So I did not, train in India for my postgraduate medical training, but I went to the US. I cleared all my USMLE exams, all the 3 steps. And something all of you should know, I'm sure you should have listened to Dr. Mir Chandani's lecture really well, because those are very high yield questions. And it always confuses us. I've been through there, sir, when I took those exams. So please, I hope you all paid attention, whoever's planning to go to the US. If not, even in Indian PG, they are asked pretty much. But after that, basically, I started to basically step out of my comfort zone of just clinical medicine. Other than training in rheumatology from the US as well as the UK, I went on to do AI in healthcare course from the MIT Sloan School of Management, which is basically in Massachusetts. And happy to share that trained across the globe from the India, US, UK, sort of have seen it all. So we used to basically go into let's say into the deepest of spots, deepest of areas where the tribal folks are there, and we used to provide them care all the way to tertiary care hospitals in the US. So basically have seen it all, and this is basically sort of conducted who I am. So I'm currently an associate consultant rheumatologist at Sir Gangaram Hospital, because you really can't take out the physician part from an entrepreneur, you can just add to it. And I'm also the CEO of Parcha and Managing Director of Pan Science Innovations. We will talk more about that. I'm also a mother of 2 little co-founders at home, Chuki and Teddy, and one of which is a human. So we will go ahead. Alright, so a lot of you may have this question for me on, okay, you went to the US, you did all this medical training. First of all, what made you change your medical career into something to become an entrepreneur, number 1. And number 2, what prompted you to come back? So I'm going to utilize these 2 slides to sort of explain what really happened. While I was in training in residency in Miami, where we were, if you guys know about Miami, it's a very good spot to be on earth, and we were very, very responsible over there, very responsible doctors. COVID-19 pandemic hit, and as you all know, it was not the best of the times for the medical fraternity. Long patient waiting hours, doctors rushing, no time to think, a lot of administrative burden, with lesser doctor-patient communication, more confusion. And if you guys must have listened to Dr. Tushar as well, it's very important, especially at the aspect of breaking bad news. And at that point of time, doctor-patient communication is very, very important, because you have to tell somebody that their loved ones has passed away, right? So, but you also have to remember that even doctors carry a lot of emotional burden, a lot of emotional baggage, and combined with administrative burdens, it basically sort of leads to chaos, right? So this is what happened. It became frustration. Frustration became curiosity. And that is why my training in AI, that is why I actually took this training in AI, sort of thinking where can technology basically help us. Okay, I call it my aha moment. So, personal story, I basically stumbled upon my co-founder while I was in the US and while I was doing my AI and healthcare training. At that time, my co-founder, who also happens to be my partner in crime and my better half, we met, we stumbled upon each other, and that basically sort of showed me a side where doctors, they are not aware about. So doctors, let me tell you, we have a very narrow mindset. We always care about patients, hospitals, clinics, back home. So most of us don't really know anything about finance. We don't know anything about anything other than medicine. So really that was the key point. And that's when I realized that technology isn't really the enemy, it's actually the missing teammate. So why entrepreneurship in medicine? Because the biggest gaps in healthcare need doctor founders. We see gaps that nobody else sees. Now, if you must have seen, there are so many technology folks who enter the health tech space, right? They make all these funky apps. They make all these different sort of hospital systems, but they don't really understand what the problems are there inside the healthcare that the doctors face every day. So who better to solve those healthcare problems than those living inside it? And what if doctors can build the system that they wish they had, right? So that is very important when you think about entrepreneurship in medicine. So that is why we basically co-founded our company, Parcha. So Parcha is basically an AI-powered medical platform reimagining clinical workflows. We basically are and develop AI-driven tools that help clinicians diagnose, document, as well as deliver care, where we do have clinical decision support systems and evidence-based care. And we are basically built in India. So we started, I believe, almost around 2.5 years ago, and we are all the way from primary healthcare centers to clinics to independent doctors as well as to hospitals. So just a little bit about our achievements, and mind you say, when people say that doctors are not ready for technology, I bet you have to see that again, because since February 2025, we have already been deployed in 5 public tertiary care hospitals, and I'm talking even about AIIMS and government health centers, and 70 private clinics, with even 4 mobile hospital units. So we are basically very comprehensive. We work all the way from primary healthcare centers to tertiary care hospitals. And we do have 20,000 active patients on us. So since February, I would say that's just 3-4 months. So if you guys are wondering that, AI is, still, or technology is still, doctors will not utilize that, think again, because we are having a lot of traction. Something that I also want to tell you is that our model, we are very compliant and fully compliant with Indian and global regulatory standards. Something which is very close to my heart. So since my training in the West, it's very important to have data protection and privacy. So which is unfortunately not the case too much in India. You have multiple patients waiting in your OPDs and you are literally talking to them while the other patient is also listening to their history taking. And mind you, you cannot really do that in the West. The patients will sort of get angry because, obviously the data protection, they feel that it's violated. So we made sure that we are credible, we're compliant, and we're consent-based and confidential with data protection. We are comprehensive as well as customizable. And just to add, we do adhere to ISO standards, GDPR, SOC 2. Why I'm pointing all this out, because, medical entrepreneurship is sort of taking a step-by-step nature, right? So when I came back to India, I had no idea I had to do all of this, right? So Ayushman Bharat was something that I figured out, but this was actually a strength. So slowly and gradually you learn. It's not that you're going to do this one day at a time. You're not going to do it on the one day, but one day at a time you have to take this. So some of the points that I do want to talk about is where we have sort of focused and even made history actually working. And I was actually talking to Dr. Mir Chandani earlier today, and he mentioned the concept of AI-based clinics where there are no doctors, right? So Still, I believe there's still time in India to completely do that, but at least we're trying to do that with AI-based tools. So help as well as augment the doctor's practice, right? So we do have something like AI-enabled voice-based doctor finder. So a lot of you folks, I don't know if you see patients asking guard bhaiya, mere pair mein dard ho raha hai, main kiske paas jaun, right? So the guard is like confused who to send it to surgery, to send it to orthopedician or the rheumatologist or whoever, right? So better to use all that technology and basically enable better triaging, right? And other than that, we are Abha ID, we are since Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission compliant, so we are also able to do Abha ID registration. Some pointers about consultation prep, we do have AI-based symptom checker and medical document upload. And these two, why I'm pointing these out, it's very important because when you do consultation execution, think about how AI can basically transform the patient's history into readable HPI or history of present illness that basically enables you to basically diagnose them in a better way, right? So our AI basically sort of reads and utilizes all of that, utilizing NLP, which is natural language processing, and basically giving you differential diagnosis. And once you do have those differentials, our system also prompts for telling you the next best step of investigations and treatment, and even post-consult care, right? So let's say if the patient is actually adhering to medicines, right? If a patient is diabetic, how is their HbA1c levels? And so forth and so on. So this could get confusing, but if I sort of tell you this graph, you may be able to sort of understand where we are taking. So this is an entire doctor-patient journey, right from they enter the clinic. So you have a patient who basically walks into the hospital, they're able to scan and share and able to generate a token here, a number, and directly able to enter the queue. Whereas somebody who's at home and they fall sick, they can basically do a symptom checker on themselves and automatically book an appointment. Once this happens, they are in the hospital, an intake form is basically filled with sort of prompts, directed questions to your symptom. Let's say you're coming in with chest pain, right? So the AI basically prompts you, how long have you had the chest pain for? How severe it is, right? Do you have any other symptoms? And these are all very, very intelligent questions that they ask. And once they are able to fill that intake form, an HPI or history of present illness is generated before the patient actually goes into the doctor's chamber. And during the in-visit, now let's say the doctor and the patient are together in the OPD, the doctor is able to see, with the help of AI, a clinical decision support system. So the diagnosis comes up. So you do have differential diagnosis, you have investigations, you have medications, and also identifiers of adverse drug reactions or contraindications. So just trying to sort of bridge the gap between good patient care and patient safety. And obviously things like smart prescriptions we also have. And post-visit, let's say now the patient has already said goodbye to the doctor and they're gone home. So afterwards, we do have secure health repository where the patient can basically save, the patients can save their whatever reports that they have or whatever prescriptions that they have in a secure health repository. They're also able to have educational handouts that can provide them with good coverage of what they have, alerts and reminders with medical adherence tracker and public health governance. So this is actually whatever I'm talking, it's not something that we don't have, right? So we do have real world experiences, and this is something that I do want to highlight, that your medical degree is just a passport. Since you are a doctor, you will be able to understand where the pain points of medicine are. So you're able to basically lead to healthcare transformation. So we have worked with this NGO called IDO. They have been funded by the Tata Trust. And we have actually digitalized their mobile medical units. And I'm talking about really tribal areas of Telangana, as you can see. Another thing that I wanted to point out, sharing my entrepreneurial journey. So Parcha is a part of a larger organization that we head of Pan Science Innovations. So we co-found deep tech and AI companies with entrepreneurs, bringing our operator expertise to every stage. So we basically mentor young founders. And by mentoring young founders, what I mean, so this is basically the cohort of companies that we have. If I take one step back, So we do have 14 companies which has been launched, and mind you, this has just happened in 2 years. So you can imagine the power of AI, the way it is basically speeding up. And 7 more companies are basically in the pipeline. So these are all ventures that we have at Pan Science. Pacha is our healthcare arm of it. We do have fintech, we do have industry 4.0, we do have legal tech. And this is something that I want to highlight to you guys. So at the corner over there, we do have legal tech AI, in which we are basically doing document processing so that the courts can basically provide better judgment and faster judgment using our AI solutions. We are also into fintech, and very happy to share, I'm not sure if you guys know about the Forbes Global 30 Under 30. This is a medical community, so I'm not expecting, but happy to share that 3 of our founders have been delegated by this award of Forbes Global 30 Under 30, one up there and then 2 down here. And we are into Industry 4.0 as we mentioned. We do a lot of predictive maintenance using a lot of AI over there. We do a lot of AI in HR tech, fintech I already mentioned, Parcha, which is our venture in healthcare, that is already there. So a lot of clients all over, and if you would see all these clients that we do cater to, again with AI, they are basically both domestic as well as international both. So recently actually highlighting, we did a collaboration with BITS Law School, and we started off a pallet center with them, which is basically doing legal AI generation. So key lessons from the journey. So what is real world entrepreneurship, right? So everybody has an idea, right? So you think of an idea and you're like, okay, I want to do this, right? So 10% is the vision, but the remaining 90% is the perseverance. How much are you willing to go for that idea, right? How much input, how much patience you have for that. Also, one important thing is listening to users and not just investors. And you have to wear all the hats, right? So I'm the CEO of Parcha. However, at times I have to do those sales calls. I have to even act like an intern. Sometimes, I have to give like how you guys are doing, right? Giving coffee to me, I have to do the same thing, right, to other folks. So you have to wear multiple hats, right? And the most important is learning to say, we'll try again after every no. So perseverance coming back. And above all, knowing the limitations of technology. So actually I generated this image by AI. And one thing of limitations of technology, you guys can see there's a lot of errors on this picture. So the spelling of rheumatology is off, something else is also off, I don't know what machine that is. So sort of understanding the limitations as well. So what does medical entrepreneurship look like? So there's a whole world beyond hospitals where impact is waiting. So and these are a few examples that I can give you all. So health tech startups is one. We talk about startups building tools, building apps, building EMRs, something like telemedicine platforms, diagnostic AI as well as remote monitoring. We do have med devices and diagnostics, portable ultrasound, AI-powered lab kits is the talk of the town, EdTech and training platforms, medical education, clinical skills simulators, apps for NEET, PG, USMLE, surgical skills, AR, VR platforms, healthcare delivery innovations with clinics, home care, mobile units, subscription-based health services, public health and impact models, and digital therapeutics and behavioral health. So a lot of, if you guys have noticed, a lot of mental health apps has been the talk of the town. So when we started off Parcha, this is the mind map that we followed. So this is the CBS Insights of Digital Health 150, the top 150 companies in the world of 2022 in health tech. And as you can see, there are a few of them who have become billion-dollar ventures. Abridge is one. I'm not sure if you guys know about Abridge, but they are a very prominent player right now, especially in AI in the US. And this is something that, I want to tell you guys that the possibilities are just endless, right? So anywhere that you can engage, any idea that you have, just go ahead with it. So what advice I have for you all, right? Because I was a student, right? Just like you guys, I sat down there, followed through the entire medical training, did my MBBS, right? Did my postgrad, built friends along the way. So what really prompted me? So first of all, definitely start by asking questions, right? What problems do you identify in the hospitals or beyond, right? Is there anything troubling you that you can fix? And grow your knowledge. You want to see what's already there, right? Take courses, understand a new skill, before jumping into this, and just making sure that there's nothing which already exists. Build your tribe. You probably have friends who are non-doctors as well, just as I did. So I built my tribe with tech folks, design folks, even law folks, right? So I did have friends who were doing law, and I took advice from them for actually doing all the paperwork for when I started off my job. And learn the tech. And something very, very important is for us as doctors, we don't really need to learn how to code, right? So I see a lot of young folks who tell me that, oh, I'm going to basically start learning Java, or I'm doing like this Python language and this and that, and how do you do this? And I always tell them that, wait, I have not learned any coding. It's just, you just have to understand how it works. You are doctors, right? So you have to provide feedbacks. You have to make sure that how it's working well for you. Is it good for your work culture? Is it good for your working environment? Give feedbacks, right? So let the engineers do their job. Okay, so doctors are trained to solve problems under pressure. You guys are used to the 10-12 hours courses of studying, so use that as a superpower. So what I wish that somebody told me, that you're not just a doctor, but you're a systems thinker. Remember, basically every time you looked at a patient, there were multiple areas that you saw that patient, right? You saw them clinically, then you examined them, then you basically look at their labs, imagings, their socioeconomics, right? Before making that management decision, right? So this is basically what is called as a systems thinker. Medicine trains us to basically connect the dots, manage complexity, and act under uncertainty. That's not just clinical work, it's actually an art, and it's actually strategic thinking. You can be clinical and entrepreneurial, one powers the other. The clinical part is your superpower when you're an entrepreneur, and your entrepreneurial power is also a superpower when you are into clinical practice. Failures are data, do use them. And in medicine, we basically call this as a differential. In startups, we call them as iteration. Either way, when something doesn't work, we don't throw it away. We basically make sure that you come again at another differential and use what is right. You're allowed to build something that doesn't exist yet. So one of the most liberating things I learned outside the hospital is this. Just because you haven't seen it in your textbook, just because you haven't read about it. Like when I was a medical student, I had no idea health tech startups existed. I had no idea health tech existed, right? AI, I don't think so even the technologists knew that existed, right? So someone built it because they thought that was the need of the hour. They thought that this was basically important, and they refused to accept the status quo, how the system is working. So they built it. And the most important part is that innovation asked to create it. So I added this slide here. This was a very famous movie during our time. It's called Jurassic Park. I don't know how many of you seen it. Have you guys seen this movie? Yes. You have, right? Okay, all right. So just a quick question. Now, who do you think wrote this movie? Any takers? Who is the writer of Jurassic Park? Anybody? No? Nobody knows this? Okay, alright, no worries. You guys can look it up, or you guys have your phones, right? I'm pretty sure, it works. So tell me the name of the person who wrote this. Any takers? किसी का phone नहीं काम कर रहा. I thought Vodafone stuck, which is mine, but I think all the Somebody found the name? No? No, it's not Steven. Okay, anyway, so basically this was written by a person called Michael Crichton. Michael Crichton is a very popular American writer. He's also a producer and a director. He's also a Harvard-trained physician. So technically a doctor has wrote Jurassic Park. So this is in real world, a doctor basically delving out and turning entrepreneurial, right? So something as a trivia that we have. All right, so we entered medicine to make a difference, to ease pain, to bring answers, and to heal. And I believe that's why we need more of us. Not leaving medicine, but just evolving it and building it. So building better tools, smarter systems, fairer access, and not just treating patients, but treating the way care is delivered. So from whiteboards to whiteboards, I really feel that we need more folks like you. And thank you very much for listening to me. And I hope some of you will be the ones to help build up what's coming next. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Soumya, for providing a fresh perspective on AI and entrepreneurship in medicine with your journey. We really hope that students present here after listening to your lecture, they will think beyond the hospital walls for sure. Thank you so much, ma'am.
I would like to call upon Dr. Vinita Singh, Head of Department Biochemistry, for felicitating Dr. Soumya Rawat.
नाही म्हणजे आता आम्हाला कळतं चुकला तो